If you're in a custody battle, you will likely have a big question early on. Who pays attorney fees in child custody cases? In this video, we're diving into the details of legal obligations, state laws, and court discretion to answer this question. When parents decide to go their separate ways, one of the big questions they face is who will take care of their children. Child custody agreements lay out the details of who the children will live with, how visitation will work, and who gets to make big decisions about their lives. There are a few common arrangements. Some parents share custody, which means the children spend time living with both parents according to a set schedule. This can be quite balanced, or it might lean more towards one parent. It depends on what works best for the family. Then there's sole custody, where the children live with one parent most of the time, and the other parent might have visitation rights. So, what does it cost, and how will you be charged? Generally, lawyers charge in a few ways. Some ask for a retainer, which is like a down payment you give to them to start working on your case. Others charge by the hour, meaning you pay for every hour they work for you. Some lawyers might charge a flat fee. In these cases, you pay one price for their services, no matter how long it takes. The cost of a lawyer will vary depending on where you live, how complicated your custody case is, and how much experience your lawyer has. Sometimes these costs can add up quickly, especially if the case takes a long time to settle or goes to court. It's not unusual for parents to spend thousands of dollars on legal fees by the time everything is finished. When thinking about hiring a lawyer, it's a good idea to talk about money up front. Ask about their rates and how they like to be paid. Be sure to get an estimate of what the total cost might be. This can help you plan and avoid surprises later on. When parents are figuring out custody, the big question most people have is, who pays for the lawyer's fees? This can get pretty complicated because every state has its own rules about it. Usually, the court decides by looking at what each parent can afford. In some cases, they may ask one parent to help pay the other parent's legal fees. This is to make sure that both parents have a fair chance in court, especially if one parent has a lot more money than the other. But the court's decision on who pays for the attorney's fees isn't just about who has more money. They also think about what's fair and reasonable. For example, if one parent is making the custody battle longer or harder than it needs to be, the court might ask them to pay more of the legal costs. The idea is to encourage parents to work things out in a way that's best for their children, without unnecessary drama. Courts have a lot of power in these situations. They can decide to split the costs between both parents, or even make one parent pay for everything. It all comes down to what the court thinks is fair, based on the family's specific situation and the state's laws. The type of custody being asked for can play a role too. For example, if one parent wants a very specific type of custody that requires a lot of legal work, they might be more likely to bear the cost. But if both parents are working together to come up with a plan that's good for their kids, the costs might be shared more equally. Courts ultimately care about what's best for the children, and this includes making sure that legal fights over custody don't get in the way of their well-being. The decision on who pays for the lawyer's fees is just one part of this bigger picture. For those who are really struggling to afford legal help, there might be financial assistance or legal aid available. Many communities have legal aid societies that offer free or low-cost legal services to those who qualify. This can be a huge help if you're worried about how you're going to pay for a lawyer. It's also smart to be clear with your attorney about your financial situation right away. This can help avoid surprises when it comes to fees. It's the best way to make sure you're both on the same page about what you can afford. Navigating through a child custody case can be challenging, especially when it comes to figuring out the finances involved. Get in touch today for help with your custody.